You're so mature for your age. If you grew up hearing that, it probably felt like a badge of honor. You were the old soul, the reliable one, the child who never caused trouble. But I want to ask you a difficult question. Was that maturity a gift, or was it a survival strategy? In psychology, there is a phenomenon that happens in millions of households, yet it remains almost entirely invisible. It's called parentification. It's what happens when a child is forced to step into the role of an adult because the actual adults in the room are falling apart. Maybe it was a parent struggling with addiction, or maybe it was something more subtle, like a mother who was too sad to get out of bed, or a father whose anger meant everyone else had to be silent. Without a single word being spoken, your young mind made a calculation. If I don't hold this family together, we will collapse. And in that moment, the child in you disappeared, not physically, but psychologically. Today, we are going deep into the architecture of that stolen childhood, because if you're an adult who feels constantly exhausted, hyper-responsible, or unable to be seen, you aren't just tired, you are still living in survival mode. Before we break down the three distinct ways this trauma reshapes your adult brain, I want to invite you to join us. We explore the deep, often unspoken parts of the human psyche to help you understand why you feel the way you do. If you've spent your life taking care of everyone else, let this channel be a space where you finally take care of yourself. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. Let's start the process of unlearning these survival patterns together. 1. The biology of the quiet child. Let's talk about what actually happens to a child's brain when they become the emotional thermostat of the house. When a home is unstable, a child's nervous system stays in a state of hypervigilance. You weren't just playing in your room, you were listening. You were listening to the tone of the car door slamming. You were scanning the micro expressions on your mother's face to see if today was a good day or a bad day. Psychologists call this a fawn response. Instead of fighting or running away, you learned to appease. You learned that love is a transaction. You give peace, and in return you get safety. This rewires your brain's relationship with needs. You learned very early that your parents' needs were urgent and loud, while your needs were dangerous and burdensome. So you buried them. You became the high achiever, the quiet one, the one who doesn't need anything. But here is the tragedy. Because you were so good at pretending to be okay, the world stopped asking if you weren't. You were praised for your strength, but that strength was actually a wall you built to keep the chaos out. 2. The 3 adult symptoms of parentification. These patterns don't stay in childhood. They follow you into your 20s, 30s, and 40s like a shadow. See if you recognize yourself in these 3 adult archetypes. First, the hyper-independent. You find it physically painful to ask for help. To you, needing someone feels like a weakness, or worse, a trap. You think, if I do it myself, it gets done. If I rely on you, I'm at your mercy. Second, the emotional fixer. In your relationships, you are the therapist. You date people who are projects. You feel most comfortable when someone is in crisis because crisis is the only language you were taught to speak fluently. When things are calm and healthy, you actually feel anxious. Peace feels suspicious. Third, the identity chameleon. You are so used to reading the room that you've lost the ability to know who you are. If someone asks what you want for dinner or what your hobbies are, you might go blank. You've spent decades being whatever the person in front of you needed you to be. Does any of this sound familiar? This is the cost of growing up too fast. You didn't develop a personality, you developed a defense mechanism. 3. The grief no one talks about. Most people think of trauma as something bad that happened, an event. But for the parentified child, trauma is often about what didn't happen. It's the absence of play, the absence of being allowed to be messy or wrong. It's the invisible grief of never getting to be a child. And as an adult, this shows up as a strange, hollow feeling during happy moments. Have you ever been at a party or a celebration and felt like you were watching it through a glass wall? That's because joy requires a level of letting go that your nervous system doesn't think is safe. To your inner child, letting your guard down meant the house might fall apart. This is why you might struggle with burnout. You don't know how to rest because productivity was the only way you ever earned your right to exist. You are still trying to prove to a parent who isn't even there that you are worthy of their love. 4. How to start shadow work. So, how do we heal a wound that we were told was a strength? The first step is what we call reparenting. It sounds abstract, but it's actually very practical. It starts with witnessing. You have to stop gaslighting yourself. Stop saying, "It wasn't that bad, others had it worse." For you, at 7 years old, it was that bad. Healing is a brutal process because it requires you to feel the rage you suppressed. It's okay to be angry that you had to be the adult. It's okay to mourn the girl or boy who never got to just play in the dirt without worrying about their mother's sobriety or their father's temper. The exercise. Tomorrow, when you feel that urge to over-explain yourself or to fix someone else's problem or to work through your lunch break, stop. Take a breath and ask that inner child, what did you need back then that I can give you now? Maybe the answer is rest. Maybe it's a no. Maybe it's just the permission to be not okay for 5 minutes. Carl Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." You aren't broken and you aren't naturally an overachiever. You are a person who learned to survive a situation you never should have been in. But the war is over. You don't have to be the soldier anymore. You are allowed to be soft. You are allowed to be too much. You are allowed to finally grow up on your own terms. If this video spoke to a part of you that has been hidden for a long time, please leave a comment. Even if it's just one word, "I'm here." It helps others know they aren't alone in this invisible grief. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We have a lot more to talk about regarding the journey back to yourself. Thank you for watching. You've been strong long enough. You can rest now.